welcome to all our new councillors, a lot of new faces in the room tonight. Welcome back. We don't have prayers tonight. Father Robert is unwell, so I'm sure we all pass on our best wishes. I acquired this a year ago. It was gifted, and every meeting I left it at home, so I just wanted to practice it to say I've done it. Do we have any apologies for absence, Lisa, please?
Yes, Chairman. Councillors Hacking and Winter.
Thank you very much. The first bit of business for the evening is, could I have nominations for the appointment of Chair of the Council, please? Councillor Field.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I'd like to propose Councillor Cook. I have known Councillor Cook for, I was going to say some time. Actually, the answer is decades. And I know, long time, Vicky, and I know her to be a very caring and hardworking and dedicated person. And whatever she takes on in all seriousness and never lightly. And I think she would make an excellent chair of this council and an ambassador for Rother. So I have no hesitation in proposing Vicky. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Councillor Field. Do we have a second? Councillor Oliver.
Thank you. Yes, I'm delighted to second the nomination for Councillor Cook, who's joined this council in a very own unique and positive way. And she's been like a breath of fresh air on many of the committees that she served on, and has taken with real gusto her role on the task and finish groups. And I'm delighted that she will accept this nomination.
Thank you, Councillor Oliver. So I put to the council, we have one nomination. Do we have any other nominations? No other nominations. So it gives me the greatest pleasure to announce Councillor Vicky Cook as a new chair of the council. I think we're now going to retire to the office. Thank you very much, everyone.
I, Carol Victoria Cook, having been elected to the office of Chairman of Council of Rother District Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Thank you. Thank you. Please be seated. So first of all, I'd just like to say thank you very much indeed for electing me to this office. I'd now like to ask, could I have nominations for the appointment of Vice Chair to the Council? Councillor Proshak.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations. I would like to nominate Councillor Richard Thomas. It may be an unkind thing to do for Councillor Thomas because, as you know, he likes debating. And once in the chair, you're not supposed to be doing that. In fact, you might like to know that Councillor Thomas won at university a debating competition. So he may be not too happy as chair in having to be quiet. I'm very happy to nominate Councillor Thomas because throughout the whole alliance, he's worked really hard, both in the alliance's ambitions and projects like cycling and working towards the health strategy, done an awful lot of work, but also a huge amount of work in his community. A long list of things. I remember when the Delaware was at risk, he was one of the forefront campaigners for the Delaware. I mentioned Healthy Rother initiative and his community work, Bexhill and Bloom, which won awards, the museum, Highwoods, the food bank, Incredible Edible, Edgerton Park, and most of all, his huge amount of time and effort which has gone into the housing company, Rother's Housing Company. One thing I know that Councillor Thomas will do is will chair with impartiality across parties in an inclusive way. So I'm very happy to recommend him to this Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations from me. Councillor Projak has said everything for me, so I would just say it gives me great pleasure to second Councillor Thomas. He will be an excellent Vice Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations for the election of Vice Chair? So, as Councillor Thomas is the only nomination, he is duly appointed as Vice Chair of the Council.
A rare moment of silence from me, bearing notice.
Thank you. Councillor Thomas, it's my honour and my privilege to invest in you, the office of Vice Chair to the Council and your badge of office.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I declare that I take this office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. I'd like to thank you very much. It's a very humbling experience, actually, so I'm very, very appreciative. Can I say that the chair of my political group has tried for a very long time to find ways of silencing me, and they have at long last succeeded. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on with the agenda then. Item 15, I'd like to seek approval from the Council to approve and sign the minutes of the Council meeting held on the 20th of February 2023.
So moved.
Do I sign each page? Thank you very much. So, all those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Item 16, Chair's communication. So I'd like to thank you all for your confidence in me to fulfil this prestigious role as First Citizen of Rother to the very best of my ability. When I joined the council 4 years ago, I looked around at the illustrious portraits lining the staircase and read the names, only a few of which I recognised, and never imagined I would be sitting in this chair. But here I am, and I know many of you have experienced my no-nonsense chairing of meetings and my sense of fairness in allowing everyone to speak in their turn, and I'm grateful that I shall have Malcolm here to support me. So having said that, I would remind new members, and experienced members too, that all comments must be made through the chair. And at full councils, members, when called to speak, should stand if they are able, and that they should adhere to the time limit on speaking. I'm delighted that the Dean of Battle, the very Reverend Lee Duckett, has agreed to be my chaplain. He has been very supportive of me as Chairman of Battle Town Council and Town Mayor during this last extraordinary year, and has offered St Mary's Church for a civic service for all councillors of all faiths and none to publicly redeclare themselves on Sunday the 17th of September at 1400, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, with a small reception of tea and cake afterwards in the church centre. So please note the date in your diaries. Chairmen of each parish will also be invited. I'm delighted that Eleanor and Lisa will be my Democratic Services support. So if there are any citizens of note in your wards that you feel would like to attend, please let me or Eleanor know. When Councillor Drayson took the chair, he declared that he would like to visit every ward during his term of office, and I too would like to attend as many parish meetings and ward events as possible. I know many meet on Tuesdays, as indeed my own council does. I cannot promise to attend every event and function, but I'm pleased that Councillor Thomas will be supporting many of those that I cannot. So in closing, I would like to say again thank you to Catherine for the nomination and to all of you for your support. So we now move to the vote of thanks. So on behalf of all councillors, I wish to record a vote of thanks to Cathy Harmer, our past chairman of the council. Cathy was a ward councillor for St Mark's, serving Little Common and around. A large ward with many problems which she and her ward colleague, Councillor Errington, worked hard to find solutions for. In 2019, shortly after her first election, Cathy was installed as Mayor of Battle and made a great job of it until COVID intervened. Cathy reinstated the Friends of Little Common and was instrumental in getting grants and donations for the group. Following on from the Jubilee and latterly the coronation crown display that ex-councillor Lynn Langlands and her husband Jim installed on the roundabout opposite the Wheatsheaf pub, Cathy encouraged sponsorship of summer flowers and a fabulous Christmas display, which were a sight to behold. Cathy began her year as chairman to the council in the height of the Platinum Jubilee celebrations and ended it with the coronation of King Charles. What a privilege. Cathy also had the honour to read the declaration of the new king and did so with grace and style. And in March this year, she spoke emotionally at the COVID Remembrance Service. Her term of office will be remembered by many for her compassion. Cathy has passionately embraced the Warming Up the Homeless charity, encouraging all councillors to join a tour of the depot in Wickham Avenue, where they not only sought clothes to go to the charity shops, but cook and provide meals for outreach and a safe space for those in need. She also brought to all our attentions the plight of menopausal women in the workplace, which affects not just the women, but their partners and work colleagues too. And we were grateful to her for doing that as part of our health and well-being strategy we put together. But Cathy also has a great sense of fun and is warm and friendly to everyone she meets, and we all felt easy in her company. In 2022, when Cathy took the chair and I was the Mayor of Battle, we arranged to be green and share a car journey to a reception given by the Bishop of Chichester in his palace gardens. As I turned into her road to see her waiting, I realised with some amusement and some horror that we had both decided to wear apricot-coloured outfits. Of course, Cathy saw the funny side of this, and thereafter we checked beforehand. So what colour are you wearing today, Cathy? Cathy, on behalf of all of us, I want to thank you for all your hard work over the past 4 years, your dedication, your conscientiousness, and your companionship in our first full term together as part of the Rother Alliance. Bless you, and enjoy the peace and quiet on Monday evenings. So I'd like to move that the Council record its gratitude to Cathy Harmer for her conscientious and impartial discharge of the duties of the Chair during her term of office. Do I have a mover, please? Thank you. So that's Councillor Byrne, and I can't see your name, sir. Councillor Sanger, thank you. Does anybody else want to add a few words? Thank you. Councillor Oliver.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, without doubt, Cathy embraced her role with a lot of enthusiasm and a tremendous amount of energy. And she really made an impact on the activities within Rother and within Bexhill, following her term previously as Mayor. And I think that she really engendered the ability to be able to bring council closer to people by the work that she undertook. And I must just acknowledge that her husband, George, was a sterling supporter of that. And well done, George. I know you were there all the time, and we all made good friends of yourself during this period. So well done, Cathy. Well done indeed.
Yeah.
As it's been moved and seconded, Could I have approval of the vote of thanks to Cathy Harmer? I think that's unanimous. So I'd now like to call upon Cathy Harmer, the retiring chair, to reply with a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Chair. Wow, how am I going to follow that one? Really appreciate that. Thank you very much indeed. Over the past year, I've attended over 70 engagements, ranging from trying my hand at pickleball to reading the proclamation on the steps of the Town Hall following the death of Her Majesty the Queen II. My chosen charities this year have been Chestnut Tree House and Women Up the Homeless. They have been my biggest donations, but as probably you're aware, as you go along, spent quite a lot on raffle tickets, tombola, you name it. But it has been great, thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed members and dedicated staff of Rother District Council, today marks a bittersweet moment for me as I stand before you, not just as the outgoing chair of this esteemed council, but as someone bidding farewell to this incredible journey. It's been a privilege, an honour, and to be honest, an absolute rollercoaster too. Firstly, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to each and every one of you, past and present. Without you, your dedication, commitment, and occasionally your ability to put up with my terrible jokes, we wouldn't have achieved half of what we have. From heated debates to dealing with the world pandemic, we've tackled all with spirit and determination. To my fellow council members, I salute you. It's been an absolute pleasure working along such a talented and diverse group of individuals. You all have your unique perspectives, and I'll cherish the memories of the time we spent together, though I must admit I won't miss those endless planning meetings. To the hard-working staff of Rother District Council, you are the unsung heroes. Behind the scenes, from navigating the labyrinth of corridors of bureaucracy to ensuring the smooth running of our district, your dedication and professionalism have made my job much easier, and for that I am eternally grateful. I pass special thanks to my chaplain, Father Robert, for his chats over coffee and cake, prayers and words of wisdom, occasionally a gin. And Councillor Mia for his unwavering support as my Vice Chair. Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Branston, a little token of something, Andrew, just to say thank you very much. We've got someone in the background helping with that. Just a little something, Andrew. Thank you very much indeed.
I can't imagine what it is. Thank you very much.
And not forgetting my ward buddy and friend, Sarah Errington, up there somewhere, for providing room on the broom to meetings and backup during my term of office. Thank you, Sarah. To our CEO, Malcolm Johnson, what could I have done without you? And the occasional prompt from my left in the big chair, you'll see this, Vicky. Navigating complexities of a full council meeting, the voice of reason when I had a hissy, the encouragement, support and praise when you told me I did well, and apparently I make the best ham and pickle sandwich. As we know, Michael is retiring after 15 years of service. I would personally like to thank you for your service to Rother District Council and wish you the very, very best in your retirement. I'm sure you'll be doing a little bit of golf, going to some nice places with Anne, taking the dog out, see a few gardens, but I think we'll say a little bit more about that later. And of course, thanks to Lisa Cooper and Jane Culloch, good grief, for your unwavering dedication and support. Without I'd be completely lost. I know I scared Jane with my ideas more than once. A sincere thanks, ladies. I think Brian's got a little something there for you. Yes? Two together will be fine. Jane, who, as you're aware, is a PA to our Chief Executive, and my assistant, is also sadly leaving us. She's leaving the council after 40 years dedicated service. Councillors past and present have had a collection to show our heartfelt appreciation, and we wish you every happiness in your retirement, Jane. My assistant in the background is...
He's not very good. What's he doing? Oh dear.
There you go. Sincere thanks, Jane. Wishing you all the very best for the future. And of course, to my husband and consort George up there somewhere. You didn't get a choice when I became mayor or chair as to being my consort. Story on the street is that you woke up one morning with a chain around your neck. Seriously though, thank you for your support over the last 4 years and 4 months. It's had its dramatic ups and downs, but you've always been there, up close and personal. We have met so many amazing organisations and individuals, and the memories I know we'll treasure forever. Now, as I pass the torch to the next chair and welcome our new councillors, I thought it fitting to impact some few nuggets of wisdom, or just maybe light-hearted advice. Take it with a grain of salt, but here are my top tips for all you newcomers. Embrace the chaos. Politics can sometimes feel like herding cats. So buckle up and enjoy the wild ride. Flexibility is key. A sense of humour will be your lifeline. Apologies in advance to your family and friends for gatherings you will miss or sometimes drag them along to. As Sarah Errington always advises, get a slow cooker. Keep a can of Red Bull, other energetic drinks are available, in the fridge for planning meetings and a packed lunch. Celebrate the wins. Great things can be achieved, so keep a bottle of fizz in the fridge next to the Red Bull. But remember to be kind. It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. Councillor de Race's Debate Not Hate motion to Council says it all. Finally, I want to express my deepest gratitude to the residents of Rother District for your trust and support. It has been an incredible privilege to serve as the chair of Rother District Council. I've had my fair share of sleepless nights, countless cups of coffee, and the occasional dance with disaster. But it's been worth every moment, and I leave you all in capable hands, and with the hope that the journey continues to be rewarding and filled with laughter and the belief that nothing is impossible. Thank you, Godspeed, and may Rother District Council thrive and shine in the years to come. Thank you.
So before we move on to item 20 on our agenda, you will all be very aware that today is one of Malcolm's last meetings. So I call upon Cathy Harmer to say a few words.
Sorry, folks, it's me again. Yes, as we all know, Malcolm is leaving us, and I'm sure he's looking forward to wonderful things going ahead. But we have had a little collection, Malcolm, as a token of our gratitude for your services to this council. And I think Councillor Drayson is currently in the background. Here he is. A little something we've got together for you. And if anyone else would like to say a few words at this point, it might be appropriate. Thank you. Thank you, Malcolm.
I invite Malcolm Johnson to respond.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Slightly unique, I suppose, but then it's not every day that you retire, and I'm still getting over the shock of actually, despite the fact I knew it was coming, receiving my P45 at the weekend. It makes it all feel very scarily real. I think I said when I took this job on that it was an honour and it was a privilege to do it. The last few years have really shown that it has been. I have to say, it's been a huge investment of my time along with yours. I'm sure there's a bit of my soul in there somewhere as well along the way, but it has been a true pleasure working for Rother District Council. I think sometimes it's very easy to forget that how much we've achieved until you actually look back and you actually look at what we've done. And if I think over the 15 years I've been here, I've only had 2 leaders in 15 years, Councillor Oliver, latterly Councillor Maynard. I think this council has punched way, way above its weight in what we've done. And I think the recent award of money for the Levelling Up Fund for the Delaware Pavilion is yet another vote of confidence in what you're doing. I was reading a while ago an article, it had a quote from the late Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who was responding to a situation, and he said that rather than keep pulling bodies out of the river, some of us actually need to go upstream and find why they're falling in the river in the first place. And I think one of the things we've done over the last several years is very much focus on that. We've been very aware that sometimes what we do is treat the symptoms and not the cause. And we've moved away from that over the last, it's a number of years. And I think that's to the credit of this council, and it's to the credit of those members who have been on this council and were on this council. I didn't expect this tonight, so I don't have a prepared speech. So if I'm babbling, I will shut up. I am from Northern Ireland, so therefore that's the one thing we can do very well. But other than just to finish by saying a huge thank you, it truly has been a privilege working with all of you, and thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Oliver.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, it has been an interesting last few years, and I think that given the fact that what's been going on throughout the UK and the world and all the other issues, this council has really stuck to it under the leadership of Malcolm and his senior officers. For my sake, on the basis of working very closely with you, Malcolm, we have got on quite well, I think. We've shared some concerns. We've tried to deal with it in a collaborative way with officers and members, and I really do wish you well wherever it might be taking you into the sunset, onto the golf course, or whatever plans you have. But it's been, for me, an enjoyable, albeit challenging, last 4 years, and thank you for all your support, and I'm sure all members here will accept the fact that you've been at the helm. Thank you so much.
Councillor Maynard.
Thank you very much indeed, Madam Chairman, and let me be on to congratulate you on your new role. Before I open by saying that I'd like to, on behalf of the Conservative Group, thank Malcolm for all the work that he has done over the 15 years that he's been involved with Rother. But firstly, obviously, as a if you like, a joint service director alongside Tony Leonard. Who I have to say, they worked extremely well in partnership as a management team, both having very different strengths and styles, but they complement each other extremely well. And Malcolm, since he's been chief executive, has applied himself to that role. They have been challenging times, and I say that in terms of the way that he interacts across the political spectrum with all councillors. Is something that I think we've all enjoyed. That good, not only a good working relationship, but a relationship that's done in a very friendly manner. Whilst I'm on my feet, I cannot not mention Jane as well, because Jane, 40 years on this authority, 40 years of looking after different chairmen, 4 different leaders, the list goes on. I mean, Jane has gone above and beyond too. So whilst Jane might not be the chief executive, her contribution to this authority has been enormous. Yes, absolutely. And Madam Chairman, if I may, I just want to say, obviously, Jane has gone above and beyond her role too. Pretty unique when just earlier on we were just, I hope your ears were burning, when you've got a problem, who do you go to? Well, you just call Jane, don't you? Because she has gone above and beyond, and her attitude and the way that she has looked after the most important person in terms of the chairman at the time, and obviously she's been through quite a few chairmen with all the different challenges of the different personalities and making sure that every chairman gets to events and are properly prepared for those events. She has been absolutely impeccable and not afraid to call out councillors when they're out of turn. So I want to thank Jane. I want to thank Malcolm. Together, what's that, 55 years service for Rother District Council. So we are here at quite an extraordinary evening, and it's absolutely right that we pay tribute to both of them this evening, because they've both done a huge amount for the council individually and as a whole, because it has been a team effort, and I'm very sorry to see both of them go. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Councillor Oliver Maynard. That was lovely. Perfect. So we move on with the agenda then. Item 20, the nominations for the election of the leader of the council. So could I have nominations for the election of the leader of the council for the 4-year term 2023 to 2027? Councillor Proshak.
Thank you, Chair. When this alliance came into being 4 years ago, it actually doesn't feel like 4 years ago. I can remember thinking, how do you pronounce that name? And getting to know new members, and now we're in the same position of getting to know each other, and congratulations to all the new members. Naysayers said we wouldn't last a year in the alliance. But what has happened? Is we've not only lasted 4 years, we've actually done some amazing things. And Malcolm's absolutely right. When we look back, and Councillor Oliver and Malcolm and myself, we had a time for reflection just this week about what we've achieved in those 4 years. And the list is very long, very long. And as Malcolm has said, the levelling up money is certainly a signal that we are working well together. And actually, we could not have had 4 years a worse time. We didn't know COVID was coming twice. I can't tell you how well our officers responded to that. They were amazing, working from home and actually carrying on with the job, getting grants out to people. COVID actually cost us about $500,000 in our budget. Nevertheless, we made it. We got through it. And so, not only did we have COVID, we had inflation, and we still have inflation. And that put the kibosh on a lot of things in terms of interest rates. So we've had a really challenging time. And as I say, the list has been long. Now, we talk about leadership, and actually, Malcolm, yes, we needed your leadership. But actually, the leadership comes from the political group. And so I'm very happy to recommend that Councillor Oliver is our leader for the next 4 years. And because his job politically has been tricky, as you would imagine, with different groups and different policies. But what he has done is actually persuaded us that once we've got our objectives, things like climate emergency, once we've got those in the plan, then we leave politics, national politics, at the door. And we actually focus, really, really focus on what's good for our residents. And I think that's what Councillor Oliver has done extremely well, which is balancing these different interests. So I congratulate you on that, and actually want you to lead it on the way forward. We've got a lot to do, but we've already got plans in place for more. So congratulations, and thank you for what you've done in the past, and look forward to what you're going to be doing, because you're a staunch supporter of local government, as we all are, I hope, round the table, of what we can deliver. And do you know what? We've become a beacon of good practice, because alliances are happening up and down the country, and people are forming administrations with different groups. And we have shown it can work. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Gray.
Thank you, Chair. It gives me great pleasure to second the nomination of Councillor Oliver. You will be a great leader. Thank you for all you've done.
Are there any other nominations? So, as Councillor Oliver is the only nomination, he is duly appointed as Leader of the Council for 2023 to 2027.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, members, for that support. It has been a bit of a baptism of fire, a challenge, 4 very difficult years with the economy, what's been going on in the rest of the world. I'd like to think that what we have now available is a very, very, very strong set of members, members that will work together. There's some excellent skill sets to draw upon, and I think this is really the fundamental backbone of any organisation. It's working together, collaborative working amongst members with our senior management team to actually deliver the services and requirements of our residents. It's not going to be an easy task. There's so many hurdles that are out there, but I'm convinced that if we work together, there's no reason why we won't achieve some of the projects that were put underway and held back because of various reasons. I'm very pleased to welcome the new members here this evening. Having met them for the first time recently, I think there are some exceptional examples of some skilled persons there that will serve this council well. And I'm delighted to be part of leading this going forward. A very exciting period. We've mentioned the Levelling Up bid, the Levelling Up partnership. You know, government don't identify local authorities with that amount of financial support unless they feel that we can discharge them. And we can do that because we're actually held in high esteem by the LGA in many of the areas that we perform our duties. And it's a job to be done, and we'll start getting into that quite soon. And welcome everybody this evening, and thank you for your support. It's much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. So moving on to item 22 then, I'm going to invite Councillor Oliver to confirm the members of the Cabinet and the Deputy Leaders.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, indeed. So the confirmation that Councillors Christine Bayliss and Councillor Sue Projak have been appointed as Deputy Leaders of the Council. This is basically to cover some of the additional work that will be coming forward. Looking at the Cabinet makeup, given the fact that Councillor Bayliss and Councillor Projak have their defined portfolios as per the agenda, I would just add to that Councillors Byrne, Councillor Coleman, Councillor Field, Councillor Jaywon, Councillor McCourt, Councillor Rathborne Ariel, and Councillor Timpey. There's been one cabinet shuffle already. I'm not sure what agenda you've got there, but there's been a change from the joint waste contract, which will fall within with Councillor Field and Councillor Timpey. You may have it on a copy that is referring to Councillor Projak. I think that basically covers that situation, does it not? I can go on to the nomination, the actual appointments of cabinet spokespersons on older persons and promoting livable neighbourhood cycling. So that's Councillor Charles Clark for older persons and Councillor Polly Gray, livable neighbourhood cycling, walking, respectively. Yeah, thank you for that. And the property investment panel will be joined by myself, Councillor Bayliss, Byrne, Giawan, Councillor Paul Osborne, and Councillor Richard Thomas. Thank you.
Councillor Oliver, could I just ask you to confirm, you did mention it, but could I ask you to confirm, please, that Councillors Field and Timpley, not Proshak as printed, have been appointed as the Council's representatives on the Joint Waste and Recycling Committee, with Councillor Proshak and Rathbone Ariel as substitutes, please?
That's correct.
Thank you very much. Right. Have you done the property? We've done 26? We did, yeah. Okay. So then, could I have a member to move and second the detail as contained within Appendix 1? I understand that all group leaders need to confirm names of substitutes for the HR committee, and Councillor Maynard needs to confirm named substitutes for the licensing and general purposes and overview and scrutiny committees. As the allocation of committees' seats does not strictly accord with the political balance requirements, a NEM-CON vote will be required. That is, no member voting against. So I will now put it to the vote. All those in favour? Right. Thank you very much. Is there anybody against this motion? No. So that's the NEM-CON. Yes, I will do. Councillor Maynard.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed, Madam Chairman. So in terms of the substitutes, the HR Committee, Councillor Tim Groner; for the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, Councillor Neil Gordon; and for the Licensing and General Purposing Committee, Councillor Tony Biggs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so moving on then to item 28 on our agenda, to receive the report of the Chief Executive as returning officer on the district and parish ordinary elections held on the 4th of May 2023. You'll find this on pages 9 to 14 of our agenda, and I call... sorry, I do beg your pardon.
Yes, sorry, Chair. I just wanted to add that in terms of the Human Resources Committee, I'd like to add Councillor Creaser as our substitute. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I apologise for not noticing your hand up. So I call upon Councillor Oliver then to that's right, thank you, yes. To receive the report of the Chief Executive as returning officer. Councillor Oliver.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'd like to move the report of the Chief Executive as returning officer on the district and parish ordinary elections held on the 4th of May 2023 be received.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Proshak, thank you. All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Then that is carried. Thank you very much indeed. So moving on then with item 29 on our agenda, the disclosure of interests. This is to receive any disclosure by members of personal and disclosable pecuniary interests in matters on the agenda. The nature of any interest and whether the member regards the personal interest as prejudicial under the terms of the Code of Conduct. Members are reminded of the need to repeat their declaration immediately prior to commencement of the items in question. Do I have any disclosures of interest? Councillor Thomas.
Chair, CB 2277 as Chair of the Housing Company. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any others? Thank you very much. So item 30 on our agenda, to receive the report of the Cabinet on matters for determination by the full Council at its meetings held on the 27th of February and the 27th of March. And you will find this in your agenda on pages 15 to 22. Councillor Oliver.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to move the report of the Cabinet meetings held on the 27th of February and the 27th of March be approved and adopted.
Could I have a seconder for that, please? Thank you. Right, so I now need to call over the report. So if you wish to reserve an item for discussion, please indicate as I call over. CB 2277, Capital Investment and Treasury Management Strategy 2023 to 2024. Minute CB 2289, the recommendations of the Anti-Poverty Task and Finish Group. Councillor Coleman. Thank you. Minute CB 2290, Changing Places Toilets for Pebsham Community Centre and Camber Central Toilets. Thank you. Councillor Timpey. And lastly, minute CB 2291, Electric Vehicle Charging Points in Council-owned car parks. Councillor Field. So I move that the whole of the report, with the exception of the reserved minutes, be approved and adopted. So do I have a seconder for that, please? Thank you, Councillor Proshak. So, all those in favour? Thank you. Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. So I shall now proceed to deal with the reserved minutes. So CB 2289, recommendations of the Anti-Poverty Task and Finish Group. Councillor Coleman.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations on your appointment. I wanted to call us in to mark this moment. I think this item looks quite small on paper, but for me it actually represents quite a real step change in the way this council conducts its business. I think the term socio-economic duty may not be immediately obvious, especially to new members. I know I didn't know about it before I started this work. But actually what it means, and it's in Section 1 and 2 of the 2010 Equalities Act. And what it means, Section 1 of the Equalities Act states that local authorities have to bear in mind people's socio-economic circumstance when making policy decisions like we do with protected characteristics. Section 2 of the Equalities Act actually talks about how government should implement that to their local authorities. Now, the Welsh and Scottish governments, after the Equalities Act was passed, enacted that Section 2, and that means that local authorities in Scotland and in Wales all have to bear in mind the socio-economic duty when going about their business. For some reason, 13 years later, it still hasn't been enacted in England, which means that local authorities in England don't actually have this duty in place. Now, quite a few councils across England have voluntarily adopted this, as I hope we will do today. And in doing so, what we're doing is we're sending a message to our residents to say that we care, to say that we're not just going to rely on good faith, because I know a lot of us are very compassionate people, and our staff are incredibly compassionate. And so many of the decisions we've made and will make will factor in people of socio-economic disadvantage. Things like our anti-poverty strategy, our housing and homelessness strategy, are actually focused on helping those people. But by codifying it, by putting it into our legislation and into the business that we conduct, it means that no matter what this council looks like in the future, no matter who's leading it, no matter what priorities they may have, they make that consideration when they pass policy of how does this affect someone in socio-economic disadvantage. And so I think that's something to be celebrated, and I think it marks a real step in making sure that this council has a legacy that will never affect people in socio-economic disadvantage negatively. So thank you, Chair. And I would like to move that the recommendation be accepted. Thank you.
Do I have a seconder for that, please? Thank you, Councillor Bayliss and Councillor Byrne. Does anybody have any comments they would like to make? Thank you, Councillor Byrne.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations on your election as chairperson. I think it's very important, and Sam has really said it all, that we put economic well-being of of all our citizens at the centre of what we do. Nowadays, there are very many individual interest groups that are saying, we've got to spend money here, we've got to spend money there, and all very good and worthy causes. But the cause that should be championed by Rother District Council is for those in socio-economic need at the moment. So there are lots of bright, shiny policies that we would like to do, and I'm sure many members of the public buttonhole us about this issue or that issue. But please, can we always, as Councillor Coleman said, remember that the priority, the number one priority, before we spend money anywhere else, is the benefit of those in socio-economic need. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bayliss.
Yes, thank you very much, and congratulations on your election as Chair. I'm very pleased to second the recommendation to full Council that we adopt Section 1 of the Equalities Act, the socio-economic duty. The duty is far more than a symbolic gesture. It strengthens our commitment to make Rother fairer, something my group of 8 councillors are very proud to promote during the recent Rother District Council elections, and I know my Rother Alliance colleagues are proud to adopt as well. The anti-poverty strategy has been held up as an example from others of a strategy rooted in practical actions and partnership working. I attended a recent board meeting of the trust running Bexhill Academy, and it was highlighted by staff for its easy-to-access information and approach. It's something the Academy want to work with as it deals with education inequalities. And I was, stunned and very pleased to see that it was mentioned in that setting. As we review our local plan and make progress towards objectives, I know that we will be focusing on reducing the levels of hidden and not so hidden poverty in our district. This will be a top priority for the regeneration strategy and the work on levelling up. We set ourselves ambitious targets to increase the level of weekly wages in Rother. We have some of the lowest levels in the country, yet some of the highest property prices and rent levels. And this leaves a great many people very vulnerable to the current cost of living crisis. I look forward to officers bringing forward proposals for how we will report on the socio-economic duty and for promoting the work and policies needed to make Rother fairer for all. Most of all, I commend my colleague, Councillor Coleman, for his work on this, developing Rother's anti-poverty strategy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Bayliss. So if there are no other comments then, it's been moved and seconded. All in favour, please. Any against? Any abstentions? Lovely, thank you. That is moved. So CB 2290, changing places toilets for Pebsham Community Centre and Camber Central Toilets. Councillor Timpey.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations again. You'll be brilliant. Okay, this report has to come to full council because we require some funding to be transferred over to the capital programme. But I just wanted to elaborate a little bit on what this actually means for our district, because this is a programme of changing places toilets, which I'm not sure maybe any of you really know what that means. But it's to enhance the accessibility of toilet facilities and changing facilities within the district, because we didn't have any. We had nothing. And so the government, there was about 30 million that was put aside for the country, and Rother was identified very, very quickly as a priority area. So we received funding for 2 changing places toilet facilities, Camber Central and Pebsham Community Centre. Now, as with everything, all grant funding has a deadline of when you have to use it. And we've got a deadline of 2024, March 2024. And that's why we require the removal of monies from repairs and renewals over to the capital programme, so we can get on with it. Because if we don't register these places in March, we don't get the money. But I'm really thrilled because from a tourism point of view and just from our residents' point of view, this provides a safe and comfortable place for people when they're visiting Canberra. If you look at Canberra, we get 25,000 visitors, and not everybody is able-bodied. And some have very profound disabilities, and this will just enhance our offering as a place to visit. So I'm absolutely thrilled to move this, and I hope I get a seconder. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Proshak?
I'm really happy to second this, and also thrilled that Councillor Tempe has taken over toilets from me. This was the hours. This was on the cabinet under my portfolio, and Councillor Tempe has described it really, really well, what it really means in outline. The actual wording is quite interesting when you talk about equalities and levelling up. It's a space where we improve toilet, shower, equipment to assist with manoeuvrability, to enable people with profound and multiple disabilities, including physical disabilities arising from spinal injuries, muscular dystrophy, and multiple sclerosis, to use toilets safely and comfortably. And if you're a new member and you have never been to Canberra Central, I suggest a visit. Don't go on what we call a red day, which is 25,000. You'll be struggling to get there. Canberra, this is part of a big redevelopment of Canberra, and we have got some amazing officers who have worked on this, and I have to congratulate them, Mr. Atkinson, because they have something like 24 milestones to meet. They've already met most of them, a lot of them, but we have got such good officers that I am sure it's going to be delivered on time. And so thank you, Councillor Tempe, for raising this.
Thank you. This has been moved and seconded. All in favour, please. Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. Would anybody like to comment or ask a question? No? Okay, that's lovely. Thank you. That's been moved then. And CB 2291, electric vehicle charging points in council-owned car parks. Councillor Field, you're excused standing up on this occasion.
Quite welcome, actually. Thank you. Yes, the council, some of you will know, and all of you really will probably know, declared a climate emergency in 2019. And a visible commitment to this is the installation of electric vehicle charging points, which I shall now refer to as EVCPs. It has, of course, been, well, first of all, only in off-street parking spaces in our own car parks, because the county council is responsible for what happens on the road. It's been a long time coming, for all sorts of reasons, has inevitably been an awful lot more complicated than we thought it was going to be when we said, let's have some electric vehicle charging points in our car parks. So straightforward. Well, not at all, actually. And one of the reasons that we do have a problem with it is that I have learnt not all the supply of electricity under the car parks is of the same quality in all car parks, and it has to be at a certain level, and please don't ask me what that level is, I'm not technical, before you can put a point in, which is why, sadly, the scheme for Rye has had to be postponed, because the quality of electricity underneath the car parks in Rye is not sufficient to support EVCPs. So, that's unfortunate. Now, it's going to cost an awful lot of money. It'll be an enormous capital outlay, which is why we agreed this some time ago at no capital cost to the council, and we're using an outside company to provide this, and they will bear the risk and use government funding to do it, because I firmly believe, actually, that this is probably only going to be interim technology. And we really do not want to commit the council to vast amounts of money, only to find 10 years down the line it's completely useless. So we're not doing that. Village halls also. Now, this is an interesting thing. We have on the council so far a village halls project whereby we are helping village halls with SIL money, community infrastructure levy money, to become much more sustainable, mainly by way of solar panels. And we are beginning to explore now the task of putting the electric vehicle, EVCPs, in their car parks. This will be very good for rural areas because one of the issues with electric vehicles is lack of range. It's fine in urban areas. As you get further and further away, people worry they can't charge their cars. So charging points in car parks will be very helpful for the community and for our tourists. And also, we hope, will encourage village halls with a bit more income for them. So I think it's a win-win from everybody. So I say it's been a long time coming. It's going to be happening in our car parks. People parking in the car park to charge their cars will have to pay the normal parking fee, and when their charge is finished, they will have to go. Otherwise, be fined for overstaying their welcome, as indeed anybody else would who stayed in a car parking space too long. That's what I wanted to say to explain this, really, to people who haven't followed this debate for the last 4 years. I'm very pleased it's happening now. It has, of course, taken longer than we thought. These things always do. But I am very pleased, if I may, to move this paragraph. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Gray. Do you wish to speak?
No, I just wish to second. I think Councillor Field has said it all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's been moved and seconded. Does anybody wish to make any comments? Councillor Proshak and then...
Thank you.
I just want to...
Thank you. Councillor McGurk.
I thought this was flat for me. I just want to commend the work that Councillor Field has done at leading the Climate Emergency Group. It has taken a long time to get going. It's extraordinary how nothing is straightforward in this kind of work. I really regret about the Rye car parks. We can't do anything about it. It's a national problem with the grid, and we need to find ways of sorting that. I really look forward to getting county on board and getting county to provide on-street charging, because at the moment the electric vehicle use is minimal because people don't know where to get charged, and so we need to move that along, and I'm sure we'll be lobbying county as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McGurk.
Thank you. Apologies for that dramatic attempt to read you my name. Just to make a comment, it's fantastic to see this. As an EV driver, I do have insight into the issue, and I'll be stopping at Bannatynes on my way home to Rye to charge my car. So my point was about Rye. I'm just hoping that, as really positive for Rother as a district this is, that we really regularly review, as it says in the report, the options for Rye. One of the things which, this is going into a bit of detail after the report's been written, but one of the options that may be on the table, for instance, is to not have the fast chargers as described in the report, but to have the slower chargers, which are, acceptable. People will be used to them in car parks. It's slower, but it's acceptable. So that may be one option, just to mention that, and just to highlight, the absolute absence of any EV charging points in Rye. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Maynard and then Councillor Barnes.
Thank you very much. It's just to declare an interest, as Councillor Mrs Prochak mentioned, the County Council are declare an interest as an executive member of East Sussex County Council. That's a personal, not a prejudicial interest. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Barnes.
Clearly, Madam Chairman, we welcome any move towards providing charging points. I just have to comment, and I'm not particularly blaming anybody because I know the calls on the Capital Finance List Council are huge. But it is ironic, and we need to reflect on the fact that where we need electric cars most, in the rural areas, where whatever comes by way of buses tends to be some way away from people's houses, and where there is a great deal of concealed poverty, and many households reduced to one car, which often has to be used to get to work. Those are the areas that won't have the electric charging points, unless somehow we can find a scheme of helping our village halls to provide them. I just comment on the irony that we celebrate something again for Bexhill, but the rural areas which have half the population, a lot of the poverty, and a lot of the car drivers will have nothing.
Thank you, Councillor. So this has been moved and seconded. Are we all in favour? Could I have show of hands, please? I think that's unanimous. Yes. Nobody against? No abstentions. Thank you very much indeed. So to move on then to item 31 on our agenda. To receive the report of the Head of Paid Service in accordance with paragraph 17A of the Overview and Scrutiny Procedure Rules and paragraph 4 of the Budget and Policy Framework Procedure Rules of any urgent decisions taken at Cabinet meetings held on the 27th of February and the 27th of March. Councillor Oliver.
Do I need to remove this report, I believe, which was the report, bear with me, 24th of May, decisions taken as a matter of urgency at Cabinet meetings, and this was to do with UK Share Prosperity Fund, Rye Fisheries.
Thank you. Could I have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Bayliss, thank you. Does anybody want to make any comments? No? So I will now put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? And any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. An abstention from Councillor G1. Thank you very much. Item 32, to receive the report of the Audit and Standards Committee on matters for determination by the full Council at its meeting held on the 20th of March 2023. Councillor Drayson.
Thank you, Chair, and I'd like to add my congratulations to your appointment this evening. This report covers 2 points. One, I'm just going to mention that it might stop it calling over, is the proposed code of conduct. We had a small working group, and then the committee itself approved us trying to move to the specimen model code of conduct, which is on pages 27 to 38. The only thing we decided we wanted to retain from the old one was a limit of £25 on gifts, because we couldn't understand why any councillor could ever contemplate getting more than £25. And also the amendment to the Constitution, which says future changes to the Constitution will be the responsibility of the Audit and Standards Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you very much, Councillor Byrne. Sorry, Councillor Barnes, just beat you to it. Does anybody want to ask any questions? Oh, I beg your pardon. Thank you very much indeed. So I need to call over the report. So item AS 2251, the proposed code of conduct. No, thank you. And AS 2252, the amendment to the Constitution, the delegations to officers. No, thank you. So as none of the minutes have been reserved for discussion, and they've already been moved and seconded, I shall now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. So item 33 on our agenda. To receive and approve the report of the Chief Executive on the appointment of representatives to outside bodies. Councillor Oliver.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move that the whole report of the Chief Executive be approved and adopted, including the proposed nomination at appendices 1 and 2 where appropriate, to note an amendment to the appointment of the East Sussex Health Overview and Scrutiny Committee, which should be Councillor McKirk, not Councillor Colleen, as printed. Company directors to the Council's housing company also to be confirmed. They're not going to be confirmed. Right, okay, I'm reading something from here, which I shouldn't have done, but I'll cross that out and not read it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Oliver. Do I have a seconder for that, please? Thank you, Councillor Proshak. So are there any comments anybody wishes to make? Councillor Osborne.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a clarification, really, on the Romney Marsh Area Drainage Board, unless there's been an update. We've got here Councillors Meyer, McKirk or Creaser. So is there a preference between the two? Then there's myself, Councillor Prochek, and then a Mr Hoggett, Mr Lovejoy and Mr Oliver. So I just wondered if that's tidied up before we vote it all in block and then there's an argument between the two right members.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Oliver, do you have a response to that?
No, I don't. I think these were the nominations from my colleague of the Labour group, being Simon McKirk or Cheryl Creaser. I think they're going to fight it out or something, I don't know.
Councillor Bayliss.
Yes, could we just make that Councillor Creaser with Councillor McGurk would be a substitute if she wasn't able to come.
That's lovely. Thank you very much for that clarity. Does that answer your question, Councillor Osborne? That's lovely. Are there any other comments? Councillor Timpey.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I noticed on the outside body there's going to be no representative on the Chamber of Commerce, and I just find that quite unusual. And I was just inquiring as to whether we as a council think that's a wise move or whether it was their particular requirement.
So Bexhill Town Council didn't ask for one. Chamber of Commerce, I do beg your pardon. Bexhill Chamber of Commerce didn't ask for one. Battle Chamber of Commerce have, and so have Rye Chamber of Commerce.
So this is the Bexhill Chamber of Commerce doesn't want a liaison from the Rother District Council. Is that correct?
It appears not.
Okay, fine. Sounds a bit strange.
Councillor Oliver.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just really wanted to add the benefits of the outside body representation from members. The feedback that we get that these are well received, and I think it does show that we are engaged with the community on many, many areas and many fronts. And when you go through them one at a time, you know, there's a significant amount of involvement there. And I know that every councillor that is on an outside body really discharges their duties to the utmost efficiency. And I think this is such a worthwhile area, and I would like to thank everybody that served on these outside bodies previously, and those that are coming on for the first time will really get some real benefit of being involved with the community. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Coleman.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to make note that obviously, as it says in the report, the CHART project, the Connecting Hastings and Rother Together, ceases to be on the 1st of July. And I just thought I'd note, having been the member on that outside body, what an effective project it was. This was EU funding that was meant to target the poorer communities in Hastings and in Rother, and obviously being a member for Sidley, quite a lot of that money went on to projects in Sidley, and there was representatives from various groups in Sidley on that board as well. And obviously it's a shame that funding like that is not going to come this way again, but I hope that something in its place can be put in, perhaps from the government, because it was a really useful project. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments? Councillor Field.
Yes, thank you. Looking at the membership of the Rural Rother Trust, the chair of the council is automatically a member, but one of the other members of the trust is indeed Councillor Cook yourself. I am therefore wondering if we need to find another member of the council to go on the Rural Rother Trust or not. Thank you.
I'm being told, no, it's not necessary. Thank you. But thank you for showing how well you've read the agenda. Okay, so there are no further comments then. This has been proposed and seconded, so I will now put the motion to the vote. Could I have a show of hands for those in favour, please? Okay. Do you need to count up? No? Okay. And those against? And those abstaining? Thank you. So that motion is carried. Thank you very much indeed. Now, item 34 on our agenda, to receive the annual report of the Member Development Task Group. Councillor Proshak.
Thank you. It's really unusual because when we have full council in this member report, it's usually the only thing that draws any debate at all. So let me just say that it's a cross-party working group. It started strongly with the previous administration and has kept going and gone from strength to strength. I would like to thank all those who participated in the working group, especially Councillor Gray, who stood in for not Councillor Dixon now, as he had work commitments. We've made some quite good changes. For example, we've introduced member briefings, which have been welcomed, and I notice they're attended much better now because members realise that they are a great benefit, the member briefings. We share sessions, if we can, with Wealden and also with the parish and town councils. We record member training when we can, so that members who can't attend can actually watch later, which is a great thing. We had 15k in the budget, and we've managed to cling on to that budget. There is especially other smaller budget. If you would like to do some external training that's relevant, obviously, to your work, but has a cost to it, then that can be considered. But also, I recommend you look at all the LGA training, which is free. Some really good stuff on the LGA. But please do let Julie or Lisa know if you do extra training, because that will go on their records. I have to really commend particularly Julie and the officers for supporting us. It's quite a chunk of work, but I think it's definitely worth it because we probably want to have one of the best training programs around. So it's definitely worth it. I don't think there's much else that I could say, except if you look on paragraph 26, we have the famous league table of members. Councillor Gray, you're the winner. One who's attended, we record the number of training events you attend. And I know this is not always a fair reflection of your lives, because some of you won't be able to attend during the day. But can I say that, first of all, your training attendance is now going to be recorded on your separate council website, so members of the public can actually see it clearly, what training you've attended. And can I also say, however long you've been on the council, it is a really, really good thing to come along. Because first of all, the dynamics are different. It's not in the council chamber, you get to know other members better, you work with officers, and it's a different experience for us. And I really think it's a positive one. And however long you've been doing this job, there's always something to learn, because the government throw new stuff at us. We have to get to know new rules and regulations, and it's a really positive thing that we've got. I know we're going to lose a bit of our funding because they've offered it up to the savings, but we still have sufficient to actually cover everybody's needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Proshak. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Gray, thank you. And are there any comments? Councillor Oliver.
Yes, if I could just really wanted to thank those that were on the task group to bring this forward. Since I've been a member, I've found that the quality of the training has been excellent. The support from Lisa and Julie and other staff towards making sure that we are up to speed with the changes that happen. And as my colleague mentioned, there's always something to learn, and things are changing all the time. But I think it's an excellent accreditation to this council with the quality of training that we have, and I think new members will find it very, very rewarding. Thank you.
Thank you. There are no further comments then. This has been proposed and seconded. So I ask if you could show if you're in favour, please, this report. Thank you. And nobody against? Nobody abstaining? No. That's lovely. Thank you. This is carried. So item 35 on our agenda, to receive the annual report of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, submitted in accordance with Article 6 of the Constitution. Councillor Osborne.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And what I will do is congratulate you and at the same time thank you for being a Vice Chairman of the Scrutiny Committee for the last 4 years. Whilst I'm on my feet, I'll also pay tribute to Malcolm for the work he's done for the Council for the last 15 years. And shame Jane's gone. But Jane has been, as said before, been here 40 years. And she's the only person who's actually paid to tell the Chairman of Council where to go. So there's one sort of thing, if you've been a Chairman of Council, you go in there and you've got the list, and as you sort of read it, and you look at her and she goes, all right, I'm going to go that one. Next one, so-and-so, so-and-so. No, don't go that one. Next one. Definitely. Right, so, but there it is. So, and I hope both of you enjoy your retirement. Yeah, I wish it was me, but there you go. So back to this. You see the report. I won't read through all of it because we'll be here most of the night. We've done a ton of work over the last year, and I would thank all the members of the committee, past and present, and those going forward, who have put time and many hours in some cases. Some of their meetings have gone over the 3-hour limit, only by a smidgen, but you know, sometimes we do get a lot of work and a lot of stuff to go through, and you know, it's better off just to sit there and get it done rather than have to come back the next day for an extra 20 minutes. So it doesn't happen very often, but you know, you can see what we've done. The working groups, task and finish groups, are especially interesting to members, and they're open to all members, whether you're a member of the Overview and Scrutiny or not. Not executive members, I'm afraid, but that leaves plenty of us to do the work. I need to thank Lisa, Louise, Julie, and there's one more I could always forget, but for the work in democratic services, especially Louise, who usually gets these minutes out to me within a couple of days. And then they get back and they're reported and back on the website. So there you go. Hope it's all self-explanatory, and it's been a pleasure doing the job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Osborne, for moving the report. Could I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Byrne. Sorry, Councillor Ganley. Beaten to it. Does anybody want to make any comments or ask any questions? Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to thank Councillor Osborne for his brilliant chairmanship of this committee over the recent years. And it's not a difficult job, because sometimes I look at the agenda, and if you don't balance it right, it's very tempting to rush through an item, not give it the time importance that it deserves. And that's a difficult balancing act. But I really would put that on record. We've really been grateful for his chairmanship. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. So we've had this... Oh, I do beg your pardon, Councillor Oliver.
I would just endorse that from Councillor Clark to Councillor Osborne's chairing of this committee. I think it's a very, very useful balance that we require as a council, and I think we've worked at that, and I think that Paul's style of chair, enabling everyone to embrace what we need to be doing and bringing the right people forward, and thank you very much indeed, Paul, for chairing that function over this last period. Thank you.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. All those in favour? Yep, that's carried. Thank you very much indeed. And then item 36. Item 36, thank you. Item 36, to receive the report of the Chief Executive on the appointment of an interim Chief Executive. Councillor Oliver.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move the report of the Chief Executive to be approved and adopted with regards to the appointment of the current Deputy Chief Executive as interim.
Thank you, Councillor Proshak. Seconded. Are there any questions, any comments? Excellent. So that's all those in favour, please. Okay, that's unanimous. Nobody against, nobody's abstaining. Thank you very much indeed. So I declare that one also carried and resolved. Wonderful. So the annual meeting is now closed and will be followed by meetings of each of the committees to elect their chair and vice chair. So closing the meeting at 8:04. And I'm going to hand over now to Malcolm Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. Can I just remind members, we'll go through each of the committees that you can only nominate someone if you're on the committee, so and vote on it. So please don't feel that you can vote on every committee for every, whoever you want.